everyone. It's me, Chloe Archer, here again for another new episode of Tea, Tentacles, and Talk, cozy conversations about LGBTQ plus romance. First, a few quick updates from me. My book, The Gargoyle and the Romance Writer, book 2 in my Monsters Hollow series, is now available on Amazon and KU. You can get it in ebook and paperback, and it will be going into audiobook production, but I don't have firm dates for you yet. When I do, I'll be sure to share those. I can tell you, however, that book 1 in the series, The Orc and the Manny, is coming out in audiobook, narrated by the always fabulous Greg Boudreau. And it will be available on Audible on May 28th. So by the time this episode airs, it will be available to you. So be sure to check that out. Greg does a great job. And my last bit of news, or just sort of a reminder, is that there's still space available on the Rainbow Readers Cruise that I will be an attending author on in late August. If you are interested in signing up, be sure to contact Rich, and he can give you all the details you need for how to do that. I'd love to see some of you on board. Now, without further ado, on to the show. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tea, Tentacles, and Talk, cozy conversations about LGBTQ plus romance. And I have 2 amazing guests with me this month, and I'm so excited to tell you more about them. First, returning to the show is Kiki Clark, a small town Michigan girl. Kiki has enjoyed reading since she first picked up a YA fantasy as a child. After that, she devoured everything she could get her hands on and dreamed of one day writing her own books that touched people's hearts. In 2020, she proudly joined the ranks of authors releasing character-driven, emotionally satisfying books, showcasing that everyone deserves to find love. Welcome back, Kiki. We're so happy to have you. And my other guest is EMM Lindsey. Lindsey is a non-binary romance author, an ancient historian, and avid lover of nerdy things. I can give you a high five on that. They live on the East Coast of the United States. Welcome, Em. I'm so glad to have both of you here today. And I wanted to talk to both of you because while you both write individual stuff, you also collaborate together as co-authors. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that came to be? Was it sort of organic? Did you seek each other out? How did it all kind of come to fruition? And what is it that makes you two work as co-writing authors?
Yeah.
Difficult question. Okay.
But I mean, not really. We were friends first.
Yeah. Okay.
We became friends through a mutual friend. And then M started co-writing with somebody else, and I got jealous and was like, what the HE double hockey sticks? They were like, oh, you want to co-write? We can co-write. And yeah, that's how it happened.
That's amazing. I love that FOMO was involved, right?
Yes, I was like, what the heck? We're friends.
Also, I have talked to a couple of co-writing duos, and I'm starting to sense that in the author world, we have our own trope, which is friends to co-authors, right?
Yes.
Definitely.
I love it. I love it. What do you think makes you work together well as co-authors? Because obviously, just being friends doesn't always mean you're going to have a natural fit in terms of writing style, approaches. How do you feel you guys kind of work to complement each other, maybe bring strengths or things that the other one doesn't have?
Well, I think we don't have similar processes for writing.
Oh, interesting.
We don't
Not at all.
at all. Like our writing itself is very complementary, but the process of putting a book together is complete opposite. But I think that it works because we both understand each other, so we can accommodate each other, and that is very helpful in the process because neither one of us feels like pressured to change our process. I don't know, does that make sense? Like it just works together.
Yeah. Luckily, M has the patience of a saint because my process is chaotic AF. And so
It is a bit.
they're like, we'll just go with the flow.
So do you, I guess in that respect, because I've never co-authored before, I'm still a comparatively new writer. My 2-year anniversary is in September. So I'm always loving to kind of find out stuff from other folks. How does the process begin? Do you tend to brainstorm ideas together? Do you outline, or do you have a certain amount of let's see where this takes us?
Both, probably a good mix of both.
Yeah.
Like I'll go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, usually we get on like a Zoom or whatever.
Okay.
After we already have an idea, and then we'll kind of talk about it and be like, oh, we should do this, and we have to have a character who does that. Well, then they'll need a book, so let's make a note about that. And we've gotten better about actually taking notes about like just random ideas because otherwise we'll be like, oh, we should remember that. And neither one of us will.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, and then we just kind of we outline it while we're on Zoom together. But it's like we'll just do like a couple of sentences per chapter so that we know in general where we're going. It's not like you're locked in all of the details.
Yeah, there's usually several text messages where one of us is going, oh, okay, I changed this huge thing, just so you know. So we have to go back.
That's true.
But
hey, I added this.
Yeah.
This character now does that.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. They'll be like, oh, okay, I'll read it and check it out.
Yeah.
That's where I think the friendship element is crucial, right?
Definitely.
Okay, so the other question I have then is, do you divide responsibilities? So like if you have dual POV, is one of you taking a specific character and writing their chapters, or do you co-write the chapters together? I have heard varying responses from people, and so I'm always intrigued about that part of the process.
Yeah, we started like our first co-write, we each took a character. We did like one chapter a piece, alternating POV. I really struggled with that.
Okay.
I felt like it was harder to connect like to the story in like in general and like the other characters and stuff. So then like we've switched. So now we'll do 2 chapters a piece.
Yeah.
One from each character's point of view. And it I think it helps, and I think it helps us like sound more like one voice actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. It also helps it move a little bit faster because it's 2 chapters at a time. So
yeah.
Okay, interesting. Do you find that co-writing a book goes faster or slower than writing one by yourself?
For me,
definitely slower.
Okay.
They can like pop out a book in like 2 weeks.
I do 2 to 3 weeks. I finish a book. So it's actually kind of
so
nice.
Fast.
It's a little nice though to not have to be like, so hyper focused on it, and then I can just get to it whenever it's my turn.
Okay.
So I don't know about for Kiki though.
I mean,
like it's the same.
I think it is just because like we both know that like our solo stuff, like that's what pays our bills. And so like we prioritize that, and we're not like, oh, we have to right now, let's go. So and then just, I don't know, the way like that I work sometimes, like it'll be, oh, I'm on deadline for this other book. I have to focus on that. And like my raging ADHD won't let me work on anything else. And so it, it definitely, I don't know. It's taken me a long time to write solo books too. So it kind of just
Yeah,
depends.
right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning that along the way. But do you also make, because I am a researcher by training. I'm a an academic, and so in my day job, and so it's always really interesting to me to think about different approaches to this kind of stuff. So for instance, things like picking cover artists, or if you do audio together, picking narrators and stuff. Do you work on selecting those together? Do you share similar aesthetics, or do you kind of say, okay, you're in charge of this and I'll be in charge of that?
Well, we already had the same cover artist and the same editor
Mm.
for our solo stuff. Actually, I
Okay.
met my cover artist and editor through Kiki. So
Oh,
so yeah, we
It's
kind of
true.
have that. Yeah. Yeah. So we already had that kind of locked in. But like Kiki's better at admin stuff than I am.
mm.
So she
I
takes
use it to
on
avoid writing.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so she takes on that a little bit of the heavier admin burden than I do.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll write a few extra chapters to kind of like even it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a shout out to your cover artist or editor? I don't know if they're accepting other clients and stuff, but we always have new and aspiring authors who follow the show.
I don't know. We use Natasha Snow for our
Okay.
covers. I don't know if she's taking on new clients right now. She's always very busy.
Yeah, I think she
Uh,
does like a once a year, she'll open up her
Y-
client list.
yeah, it's good to sign up either for her newsletter or get in her group on Facebook, because she'll announce like at
okay.
this time I'll be opening up to new clients, or I'm opening up these months for appointments and stuff. And then we use Sandra with One Love Editing
Mm,
for our editing, and I think she's always open to taking new
okay.
clients. So
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I can
yeah,
try to include links for them as well in the show notes. I will second. I also work with Natasha Snow, and I got in with her, I think, at just sort of like this fortuitous moment in time.
yeah,
And I honestly haven't even attempted to look at anyone else because I just love her stuff so much. And she's such a delight to work with. She really
she
is
really is.
so
yeah,
talented
She's
and
great.
a consummate professional about it all. And so those are things I admire. So I'm the kind of person who's like, oh, I'll keep giving you my business.
yeah.
If this is
Yes,
how you
that's me.
operate, like so that,
Yes, yeah.
anyway.
She did my very first cover, and I still work with her, still love her, and like
Yes.
it's
Yeah, no,
she's great.
yeah, and she's also doing covers for, I'm in an upcoming multi-author sort of series called Fortune Favors the Fae, and she's doing
I've seen
all
some
of
of
our covers.
those. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
nice.
Mine isn't done yet. I was like, I had serious FOMO. Everybody else was like getting to post their covers, and I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't yet. So I'll be really excited when I can. But
yeah,
I was thrilled when the collaboration decided they wanted to work with her, and she was able to accommodate us. So very, very cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. She's great.
uh,
Oh, I was gonna say,
yes, go
in
ahead.
case anybody else, if somebody does want to try and get in with her, if you buy a pre-made from her during one of her pre-made
Yes.
sales, you're then considered one of her clients, and so then you can make an
Oh,
appointment with her. I thought about that because I think
nice.
isn't that how you got in with her? Was
That is,
during
yeah.
like
It was, yeah, a
you
couple
bought a
years ago.
pre-made?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Right.
she was closed to new clients, but if you buy a pre-made, then you're considered an existing client. So
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
little
Yes,
interesting way
I
to get
have
in there.
I have a pre-made from her that I bought like last year, that I'm not going to be able to do anything with until like 2026.
Mm.
But I'm really excited to, but my schedule, my editor says no. My editor's
My
like,
editor says no.
And I listen to my editor, so don't want to lose her. So,
Right?
right, yeah. Once you find the person you can gel with, you like hold on to them very tightly, very
Yeah,
tightly.
you're not allowed to ever quit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Stay with me forever, please. Uh,
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this is a great way to transition into talking about your latest collaboration, called Sunshine. Now, from what I saw of the blurb, it looks like this is going to be the start of a new series. So tell us more about this series and about the first book.
Oh.
Go ahead, Em.
No, you
Um, well, it's called the Trident Agency series, and basically, the Trident Agency is made up of like supernatural creatures,
Love
and
it.
they provide like bodyguard services and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so the first book is a hellhound, which hellhounds are like ostracized in like this society.
Okay.
And he's protecting a siren prince and
Ooh,
love.
of course.
yeah.
Of course. Okay,
So
so we've got royalty, we've got bodyguards. Any other
yes,
tropes in this? Is
Grumpy
it like
Sunshine. Big
oh,
time.
okay.
Grumpy, fated
Okay.
mates.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'm
Um,
already on board.
yeah. um, and there's a little bit of like a overarching like
Oh,
plot
yeah.
for the series, but
Nice.
like book one wraps up like very nicely. Like it's
Right.
not like a big cliffhanger or
Romance
anything
is
like that.
complete. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's sort of like
we're
it's got
excited
like
about it.
yeah, it's got like a found family vibe with the guys who work
Mm,
at the
Yes.
Trident Agency.
I was like, I
Um,
know there's no more
yeah,
tropes. I
it's
just
yeah,
can't
they're
think
like
of
they're kind of like
one.
they're like the outcasts of society that ended up
yeah.
forming this very successful agency. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so there's a lot of
yeah. We have an
like
incubus demon, a
yes,
vampire, like that.
Nice.
They're fringes of society,
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
creatures.
Okay, so it is a paranormal world where paranormal creatures are out and humanity is aware of it.
yes, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
It's a whole
yes,
separate universe. Like we're not using our universe, not countries, not
yeah.
anything. It's kind of there's some like mirrors, like political mirrors.
of
Um,
course.
Yes, yes,
but
like
yeah,
humans are not great
yeah,
Yeah,
in how they treat the supernatural creatures and stuff like that.
right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I do something similar in my Monsters Hollow series where they have like sanctuary havens where other kind get to live and be safe kind of thing. And I think that's really interesting because, I was asked about this by somebody else and I really thought about the fact that by virtue of being queer myself, I think I tend to gravitate a lot toward writing some of these kind of outsider misfit types characters. Often they're misunderstood by normative society in particular ways, and of course they're always the most interesting and fun characters to follow. Like they're always far more
Yeah.
interesting and likable than the normative folks are. But I'm wondering, like, what kind of motivates or compels you to write similar types of world building elements or characters?
I mean, mine.
It's a good question.
It is a good question. It's like I don't write a lot of paranormal romance, so mine is generally reflected in contemporary romance, which is
Sure.
one, my own personal experience, and then two, also being told very early in my writing career that writing diversity would never sell.
Mm.
Because I worked very briefly part-time for a publishing house, and anybody who was working for the publishing house got to query.
Okay.
And so I did, and they were like, this, it was like, she was like, no, this is just too much. It's never going to sell. And I was just like, okay. So I just
Too
stopped this.
diverse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was kind of a motivator. It was kind of, petty spite, like
Love
we'll
it.
and it worked. So
Well, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's how, a fair number of us got here in LGBTQ plus romance because traditional publishers weren't interested in it. I mean, I remember when I was like querying originally way back in like 2002, before, Kindle and ebooks were really around, and got like zero interest, right? Precisely because the characters were queer. And so, when indie and self-publishing came along, it was like the floodgates opened, and all of the folks like myself who wanted to write this kind of stuff had actual opportunities. And so I think that's really exciting.
yeah.
But yeah. Kiki, did you want to add anything about sort of your motivation?
Um, I'd say for the most part, like I like to write what I like to read. And
Mm,
so um characters that are, like you said, more interesting than, you know, ones that are normal. I like being able to play with different rules and different ideas and societies, like with paranormal. And then, like sometimes I just want to something that feels like a hug and do a fluffy
right.
contemporary. So it really just depends on like what I want. So
Right.
who cares what anybody else wants? This is what I want.
Well, you are the one that got me hooked on alien romance. So
Oh,
It is so good.
yeah.
I love it. I love
I wish
it.
there was more. That was like the
Oh
first
my God,
thing
yeah.
I started writing. Actually, that cover I have from Natasha Snow is for a new Alien series I will do at some
Ooh.
point. Yeah, but I don't want to give anything away because it's a little ways off, but uh,
Sure, sure. Don't tease people now.
right.
They'll just get frustrated.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I think, especially when you compare like sci-fi romance to like the het market, like that there's a ton of alien
Oh,
romance
it's
in the het
so
market.
popular. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
and it's
popular. And we have
I think
so little.
a
It makes
little,
me
I
so
know.
sad.
I mean, I do think it's growing. I think it's starting, and I think people are starting to kind of like, oh, but it's taking a little while. So we'll get
Yeah.
there.
I know I've
We'll,
seen more like Omegaverse alien stuff
yeah,
too. And I
yeah.
don't know if that's because like a lot of times, like even with the het romance, like the predominant theme is, oh well, like our women have died, or we,
Right.
they're sterile now or whatever because of some
Mhm.
disease, and so we
Right.
need humans so that we can repopulate the society.
Right.
And so I don't know if it's like a carryover of that now it's because I almost feel like you see more of
Mhm.
like the sci-fi mpreg than
Right.
just sci-fi. And so
Right.
I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, I'll take anything.
Right.
I love me some alien romances.
Yeah, no, I'm very much the same. I want more. And I'd really love
Yes.
to see some more that go in a slightly more rom-com direction like I do, because I
Oh yeah.
really enjoy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like some of the more serious and kind of dramatic ones too, but like some of them are sort of apocalyptic, futuristic kind of scenarios, but I also really like some good I mean, there's so much comedic potential with aliens and like cultural
So many like yeah, miscommunications
miscommunication.
and
Yeah,
misunderstandings.
right.
Yeah,
Right. So I would love to see some more
definitely.
folks doing that. I want to circle back really quickly to Sunshine, your book coming out. When is it coming out, by the
Oh,
way?
it's out. It's out.
Oh,
We're
it's out.
working on
Okay.
book two now. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's
Yeah.
already out. So yeah,
Yes.
again, we'll have the link in the show notes for everyone. But I wanted to circle back to the siren issue because actually, again, weird twist of fate, but my book in the Fortune Favors the Fae series is about a half siren character. One of the
Oh,
MCs half siren,
Oh.
and because
that's funny.
we got to pick any kind of fae that we wanted, and I said, I want to do something I haven't seen a lot. And I was like, immediately the idea of a siren came to me. But I feel like a lot of the time, especially because of, I think, the mythology behind them, sirens are almost always female, right? And
Yeah.
so, what kind of things were you thinking about in kind of trying to develop this character and sort of any sort of lore or anything around sirens based on kind of what is already out there that's really sort of oriented around women, and bringing in sort of like a male version?
Well, our siren, it's a whole kingdom of sirens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they have one of the strongest like kind of alliances with most of the other kingdoms because they're sort of,
Mm.
more kind of neutral, and
Oh, yeah.
politically neutral. Their internal problem is our character is also a half siren,
Mm.
because his mother married a human. And
Mm.
that is a huge conflict. Like we touch on that actually quite a lot in the book,
Yeah.
is that he's not very, as the crown prince, he's not very widely accepted within the
Oh.
Siren Kingdom because he's not only is he not full siren, but his genetics favor the human side.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so he presents
Yeah.
more as human, like
Mm.
than
Oh,
like his
oh,
siblings.
go. Sorry, I'm so excited.
No,
I
no,
want
it's
to ask a
okay.
follow-up question. How are the full sirens different in terms of how they present versus a half siren in your series?
So like with him, you you don't see like the scales, or like the like iridescent on like his skin unless he's like in the water in direct sunlight.
Mm.
Whereas like one of his siblings like has more of like the full siren features, and has like you can see scales, and um has the oh my god, what color eyes did we do for sirens?
Oh,
I want to say it was purple. So
we're
long ago.
professionals.
We're totally professionals. We remember everything we've ever written. But little things like that. And then
He
they
also,
have the ability to like shift
yeah.
into what it's kind of like a mermaid form. Like they have like a tail, and
Okay. Okay.
um
Because,
so
interestingly, not all folklore or mythology about sirens is the same, right? So some of them
sure.
have them being kind of like part bird-like creatures and stuff. Some of them kind of lean more toward the mermaid kind of category.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Okay. Sorry, I just had to geek out there for a moment. That was that was really intriguing to me. Um, so how long have you both been writing, essentially? So Kiki, I know your bio indicated you were published in 2020, so it's been about 4 years now. And Em, I think you've been going quite a bit longer than that.
Um,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. I predate Kindle Unlimited.
okay.
I started under another pen name writing urban fantasy in 2012.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
and then after that, actually, I only wrote really one series under that pen name, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was sort of one of those, like, at the time, romance even was, I mean, it still is, but even more so kind of like looked down on, And so
Yeah.
I initially went in writing urban fantasy, and then I was like, you know what? I want to just write what I want to write. So I published my first romance in, I believe it was 2014.
Okay. Wow.
Um, and then I didn't, but I would publish maybe one or two books a year. I had a whole
Hmm.
everything out. It
Yeah.
was just kind of a side thing. And then one of my books kind of just took off my first Irons and Works book
Yeah. Yeah.
in 2019. And that's
Okay.
when I started writing full time, was 2019.
Okay.
So for
So
a
you're
lot of people, I started in 2019. They didn't know
okay.
that before it.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I think like a lot of people don't realize this sort of when people sort of have a book that suddenly breaks out, a lot of the time it is not the first book they
Oh.
have written.
No.
But okay, so you've been doing this for quite a while. You're both full time now. What kind of advice do you have for other writers about sticking through the long term? Because, I think there's like any kind of career, there's lots of ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Writing and particularly, audiences and stuff are never super stable and consistent. How do you kind of keep going and keep your love of writing fresh and alive?
I mean, for me, it's like I have to change, I have to do new things. Otherwise I
Mm,
get really terrible burnout. So I try my best, I've been kind of expanding my paranormal romance catalog,
mm,
because being able to bounce back and forth
yeah.
between contemporary and paranormal is makes me it helps keep it from feeling monotonous.
Okay.
You're writing the same thing over and over.
Hmm. Okay.
So don't be afraid
Yeah.
to be a little diverse, when you're writing. And
Yeah.
I know that's a big fear of
Yeah.
people. They're afraid that if they change it up, if they write a new, subgenre, they're going to lose their audience or something. Um, but not everybody, not all my contemporary audience reads my paranormal romance and vice versa, but it hasn't
I,
really changed anything for me. So
mm,
Yeah. I feel like as long as you are still writing the way that your audience expects, like
yeah.
um
Yeah, I
it,
wouldn't go taboo.
having this,
Yeah.
yeah, like there are extremes, like
Like under
you
this pen
wouldn't
name.
necessarily
Yeah.
want to go under the same pen name, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like I've written contemporary and paranormal from the beginning under the same pen name because like I like both. I wanted to write both, and to me they're the same kind of stories. Like they all have the same vibe, like the found family
yeah.
and stuff like that that makes it a Kiki Clark story even if the subgenre changes. um
Mhm.
and like I have found that if I don't change things up enough, that burnout is super real. I know some people can write in the same series in the same universe
Right.
forever and it's still fresh and fun for them, but I struggle with that. I
Mhm.
like you even if because I always have like multiple series going at the same time. So even just bouncing from series to series, sometimes I'm like, okay, but this is still the same. And
Right.
so having something that's brand new is, it helps freshen up the well of creativity and remind you why you actually wanted to do it because you love it
Right.
and you love creating. So
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I think, because obviously shiny object syndrome, I think many a writer experiences that, especially when they're in the middle of something that's not moving as fast as they want it to. But um so I have learned about myself going forward that I don't appear to have the ability to write standalones. Um, that I just because especially because I don't do contemporary actually. I am mostly doing sci-fi and paranormal are kind of my two main categories. At some point I'll do some fantasy as well, but I like world building essentially that's beyond sort of like the world we are familiar with. And obviously, that kind of by necessity often requires more than one book, but I always just somehow end up with like this stable of side characters that are interesting. And people are like, when are they going to get a book? And I'm like, well, okay, now
Relatable.
that needs to happen. So, have you like kind of told yourself, okay, no more than X number of series at one time?
yeah,
Because like how do you manage that essentially to be both like a smart business decision, right? So readers aren't waiting forever and ever for the next book in a series, but also still being able to kind of give you that fresh, like something a little different to work on.
yeah. Um, I feel like for me, I max out at like 3 series.
Okay.
Any more than that, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? I don't know. I'm dropping plates. I'm not juggling things well. Um, so uh and it's actually like one of my goals for this summer is to write a complete standalone
Oh wow.
because like that's to me that first book in a series is the most fun. And
Yeah.
after that is when like you have to remember all of the rules that you've created for yourself and the characters, and you have to follow what has already been established in the first book. So I'm like, if I can do um like some standalones and amongst all of my other series, then that could help freshen
Mhm.
things up a little bit and keep me excited. Like it's been a few years since I've done anything like brand new, and
Right.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
How about you, Em?
I have successfully written 3 standalones in my entire
Oh,
career.
congrats.
So,
Entire
That's
career.
really impressive.
Just for the audience benefit, because I just saw your Instagram post earlier today. How many books have you published?
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know. I honestly, I don't know the exact number.
on Instagram it
Um,
said 86.
yeah, well, okay, 86, not including like some extras is what I counted, but then somebody was
Okay,
like, I have a list and there's more.
there's
So
more.
I don't know what I didn't know what they were counting because like I have a whole page of like freebies on my website,
Yeah.
Oh,
and then I've done,
sure.
I've unpublished several books also from early on in my career.
Early days. Yeah.
Yes, the early days. So honestly, it's probably somewhere in the high 90s to 100 if you count all the
And
short.
of those, th-
There's
3 have been standalones.
three have been standalones. I guess okay. There's
I really
one.
wanted to emphasize.
Okay, there's one unpublished one that's a standalone, so 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Does that count though if it's unpublished?
No, it doesn't count. So yeah, I cannot either because I get immediately enamored with a side character.
It's
Mm.
so easy. Like
Yeah.
people need friends, and then
I
so
tr
you write them a friend, and
I
then you're
tried.
like, oh,
I
yeah.
had one called The Edge of Heaven that was supposed to be a standalone, and everybody else in the book was like married or taken or whatever. And then somehow the next book, the guy's dad is divorced and with his best friend. So even that is
Somehow
not
it just
foolproof.
happens. Yeah,
Right.
we've talked about this before, and we've said the only way you can do like a true standalone is like if the only other side characters are like lesbians. Because
Then we're
oh,
gonna end up writing FF, I swear.
that's true, because people do ask me for FFs for women in some of my series,
Mhm.
and so we're like, this is the only way you'll get people to not ask for like side characters, but it isn't
No, it's
actually
not.
foolproof.
Right. Right. Well, actually, so that raises a great question. Like, do you think you would ever do other iterations of LGBTQ plus romance? Would you do FF or I think isn't it MX now if we're doing kind of trans or non-binary, stuff like that? Like, have you considered sort of like how you might be interested in diversifying, or have you already done some?
I have a Why Choose
Oh, okay.
MMM trilogy that is
Okay.
out. And then I have at least 2 FF books, one planned for my Irons and Works series.
Hmm.
Um, and then I have an MMF book planned for that series as well. People have been yelling at me for the owner of the tattoo shop and his wife, and then their eventual third
Mm.
partner for years. So I'm going to do I'm an attempt to do that this year if I can squeeze it in. So
Yelling at you.
yeah, it's in the again it's in the the work that's just there's so many books I want to write and not enough months to
Oh my
release.
Oh
God.
my God. It's
So,
the worst. Yeah.
yeah.
It was funny because the other day I posted on social media, like if you could get a side character story, like of in any book I've written, like who would you want it to be? And so many of them chose female characters. And I was like, nice. I do have an FF planned for my Leather and Chrome series,
Hmm.
um, for the character Viper. And then I'm considering doing an MMF for the Silver Oak Pack series, but like have it not be part of the like overarching plot. Like do it at the end. Because not everybody wants to read
Right,
that, and so I'm like
right,
this way, like the 4 books that are like the core
right.
series, and then like the female character, she's an enforcer, and so she's prominent in the series. So
Yeah.
I think there'll be people who will be interested in that book. And then I have a couple of others, like from the Kincaid Pack series. There's a couple of female characters that I'd like to write.
Nice.
It's just like Em said, like it's really hard to get to everything you want to do. Like I remember when I first started, like because my first book came out in 2020 January, and
Yeah.
like I created like okay, the rest of this year, this is what I'm gonna do into next year, and it was like finish that series, and then I was going to do like a trilogy for the character Tashmika, where she finds her, and
Yes,
do
please.
like I had all right, and I had like all of these
Damn it.
plans, and now it's like years later and it hasn't happened. But Tashmika's definitely getting some books. Like
I
you
love
can't
her.
leave
I
her
am in love
hanging.
with her. So
Yeah, she's great.
Well, I can definitely relate to too many ideas, not enough time. And partly I'm not full time yet, so I still have a full-time day job. And so it's a
Even
challenge,
harder
but
for you.
it is, but it's also one of these things where, you know, somebody was asking me, a friend of mine was asking me, and I was like, I can't really slow down my pace too much because I literally have to like make room in my brain for like getting some like stuff out because it's like backing up and there it's way too much that I'm
It's getting
like,
crowded.
it is, yes, yes, the plates are falling that no but
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think it's really I am really reassured and have a lot of optimism about how more readers are asking for FF stories from MM
Yeah.
authors. I because actually I long before I ever encountered MM, I encountered lesbian romances like in because I'm a little older, and so like in the 90s there were like the Naiad Press, like Radcliffe lesbian romances and stuff like that. Now a lot of them were not necessarily conventional HEA always in how they came about in like the early pulp novels and stuff like that, but as a queer person myself, I like to read broadly in LGBTQ romance, and I'm hoping to eventually write more. So I'd love to do some FF, and I have plans for my first one will be 2025. Part of my Alien Christmas spin-off series. It has 3 characters, and the first 2 are the guys, and the third one is the lesbian alien with tentacles. So it's gonna be
Nice.
it's gonna be all kinds of fun. But
Yeah.
I've had quite a few readers asking about because a lot of my female characters are queer in different ways, whether they're sort of pansexual or very openly lesbian and stuff like that. And so I do remember a time, for instance, because I was a reader for many years before I ever published, and I used to go to GRL almost every year. And I would sometimes be that one person in the audience asking a question about FF, and in the early days, you would get a lot of like, oh no, FF, don't want to hear it, don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it, ew, kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
response, which I think, sometimes there are some readers who haven't maybe interrogated some of their internalized homophobia when it comes
Yes.
to other parts of the spectrum. But I think that that's changing. And so, and I do think that sapphic romance has been kind of really blossoming of late. And so anyway, I'm
Mhm.
excited, and I'm glad to hear about more authors in the genre who are looking to delve into those waters. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we're moving into summer. So, I would love to hear, because this is usually a time of year where with my day job, I actually have a little bit more time to indulge in some hobbies that I don't always have time to during the academic year. Do you have any hobbies that you guys like to do outside of reading and writing, which are obviously really integral to authorial identity and persona, but you're more than that. And I'd love to hear about anything that you.
Am I though?
I say you are.
Oh, okay. I don't know. What kind of hobbies do you have?
I don't know. I dabble in a lot of stuff just because I get bored easily.
Mm.
So I've done everything from like music to crochet, knitting, cross stitch. I used to hike a lot, but then I got POTS, and so I can't do that anymore. Um, thank you, COVID. Yeah. And so, but we just moved to Virginia,
Okay.
so it's very beautiful here. So we've been going out a lot, kind of like mini hikes and things like that. Because I really like being outside.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess that's kind of it. I recently started making candles because I made them for my book box, which was a
Ooh.
lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. My youngest,
Cool.
she got very excited and made like a bunch of little mini candles for all of her friends while we were there. So that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess that's it. I would
Um,
encourage Kiki to travel because she's coming to see me next month.
Oh, fun.
it's true. It's
First
true.
real trip.
I know. First time flying, I'm only
Really?
slightly terrified. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be fine.
Yeah. It's gonna be totally fine.
Gonna be fine.
Once I do it once, I think I'll be okay. It's just that first time not knowing what to expect, like going through the airport and stuff. Um, hobbies. Um, you know, I am also I'm gonna do this and buy things for it, which that's the neurodivergence, I think.
Mm.
I did learn how to crochet when I was in college. Roommate taught me how. I made some stuff. My mom still uses a scarf I made her, so
Aw.
you know. Um, I have stuff to cross stitch. I've never actually done it.
Oh,
I have
wow.
stuff to paint. I
Mm.
I haven't really done that. Um, I bought some some blank mugs and Mod Podge to make like mugs like because we always end up, I don't know about you guys, I always end up with a ton of the like proof copies of books, and like sometimes I give them away, but I still feel like I get more than I am able to give away. I don't know why I order so many. But so I was like, I could cut these up and like put like make cute mugs with them, and then do like like sell them on my website, or do like a book box and include them in them. So I got all the stuff to do that. Haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I took a pottery class last year.
Oh,
That was fun. I made all kinds of stuff. Do I have anything nearby? No. I made a lot of bowls. It's hard to make
yes.
anything else.
Yes, I also took a pottery class at one point. I took it twice, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
I did it twice too.
I don't know that I have a lot of talent per se. But my instructor and everyone in the class that I had the most enthusiasm of anyone in the group. So,
I can see
I
that.
mean, I was happy to be there and I was excited to try and do stuff, but my sadly, I have come to accept that my artistic capabilities outside of things like writing are somewhat limited. Although, okay, I do
That's
have,
me. That's
okay,
me. Like I would get so frustrated because I wasn't good. I get very competitive.
so this is the one I'm most proud of. I did not
That's
actually
super
make
cute.
the vase itself. So this is, I forget the name of the technique, but we did this workshop where the vase is already made, but it's got some kind of like a black surface that you can then carve stuff out of. And then they fire it again and you get this cool black and white kind of pattern. Um,
Nice.
that one I had a lot of fun doing, but the vase itself looks really nice because the pottery instructor made that one.
Yeah, I have a bowl like that. It's the best bowl. And I remember I brought it home. My parents are like, "This one's really good." I was like, "Yeah, I didn't throw that one."
Yeah, right.
Like we were starting the glazing process, and I didn't have any ready to start glazing, and so one of the instructors, she always has like extra stuff going. She was like, "Here, just take this bowl," and I was like, "Okay." So I did glaze it. It looks pretty nice. I keep dog treats in it downstairs, but
Oh,
um,
nice. Uh-huh.
but yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I would get like frustrated that like all I could do was bowls and like not even like good ones all the time because like I said,
Yeah.
I'm competitive. I like to be the best.
Oh, okay. I think I get more bored. Like if I can't level up somehow, then I'm like, I've done this already.
Yeah.
Peace out kind
How
of.
many bowls do I need?
Right, right. I mean, that was also my situation with knitting. So I do know how to knit and to purl. Like that's about it. And so, but I couldn't really level up beyond that. So like my skills were to make scarves and blankets using like knitting and purling. And after a while, I just lost interest because I couldn't level up beyond that. And part of it was like a focus issue that like when you're following a pattern, I would start and I'd start great. And then it would, fall off.
Yeah.
I couldn't maintain the concentration required for it.
I
I
don't know
don't
how
know.
people do it while they're like watching TV. Like I,
Right. I,
I
I
can't
could do
even like
that
do
with
things and
basic
listen
knit
to
and
an
purl.
audiobook.
Right. But no, a pattern of some kind beyond knit and purl stitch, I can't, no. So so I sort of stopped that. But yeah. Oh, well, and I know it's very late in the show and I completely forgot this, but we always do
Oh,
we have a beverage usually for tea and talk. Mine today is just water, but it's in my super cool this used to be a jar of honey, like the spreadable
oh.
kind. And it's I feel like I have to represent right now. It's 100% Minnesota made. It's from this Homestead Honey Farm somewhere here in Minnesota. And so I was like, oh, this is like a perfect size for me to have my water glass for the summer because I need to stay more hydrated usually in the summertime. But did you all bring a beverage with you today?
I brought three because I'm a beverage goblin.
Love it.
Yeah,
Tell me.
Three.
three. I have three. I have my
Nice.
blackberry sparkling water,
Ooh.
and then my rooibos London fog in my Village Witch mug,
I love
and
that.
then my Stanley of water.
Wow. Hydration is
Yeah,
important.
it's
Yeah. I
humid
only
today,
bought
so
yeah. I only brought one drink. It's a bottle of water.
Okay. It's all good.
I'm a little sick. My niece and nephew were here
Oh,
last weekend and they both had this heinous cough. And
ooh,
we were outside and I was holding my nephew and he coughed right on my face.
of
Right on
course.
my face. And I was
Yeah.
like, how dare you? I'd be more upset if they weren't so freaking cute. But yeah,
Right.
so I'm just
I think
chugging
they're
water.
designed that way, right? To kind of save them from.
Probably evolution,
Yeah.
that way, every time they do something ridiculous.
No, I completely understand. Well, I know we're getting close to the end of our time here today, and I want to be respectful of that with you. But I always love to kind of wrap up a little bit by asking if you can both give any kind of a little sneak preview of other things coming from you that readers can be excited about sometime in the next few months or this year that you want to talk about.
Today is my release day for one of my single dad books,
Ooh.
the second in my single dad series, which has been a lot of fun. So that one that I'm going to be doing that one just also got picked up by Podium Audio, so it's the first audio I'm going to have in a while, and Kurt Graves is going to be doing the audio for that, which is exciting.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so and then
Well,
we're
be sure to send me a link and I'll put it in the show notes
yeah,
too.
for sure.
And congratulations on your release.
Thank you. And yeah, and then Kiki and I are currently working on Priest, which is book 2 of Trident. Right,
Ooh.
Kiki?
We are.
Priest.
We sure are.
She
We
has
are
the
not
chapters
in
right now.
complete vacation mode. Work's definitely still getting done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't math. I don't know. Over a third, but not quite halfway done with it. So hopefully it'll be out this summer at some point.
Yeah, we'll be first before September because we have a signing
Yes.
in Milwaukee together.
Yes, we're going to Romance Con and we're very
Ooh.
excited to not only be there together, but have copies of the first 2 books in the series for people that we can both sign together instead of like one signature and one
Very cool
book plate.
Yeah, right.
But was there anything else you wanted to share? Any other upcoming stuff?
I have so much stuff, so I think that's good.
That's fair. So okay, yeah. So we're working on Priest, and I am also working slowly. There's a few hundred words. On my contemporary that will be out, I don't know, sometime this summer. This is gonna be my standalone. It's gonna, that's it. One and done. Mark
You can
my
do
words. And then I also need to start working on the next Leather and Chrome book that's supposed to come out in September, October. I don't know. I have it up for pre-order. I don't know when it's supposed to come out. I should probably figure that out. But yeah, it's been like 2 years since I published one of those, and so I'm like, I gotta get back into it.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Well, you're both very busy. So I just want to thank you both again for taking the time to come and talk with me. It's always such a great treat for me to get to talk with other authors in the genre and learn cool stuff from you. And I know that there are a lot of new and aspiring authors who watch the podcast. So I hope that they find this helpful too. And I'm sure we'll have you back again at some point. But all of the information about Sunshine will be in the show notes. Be sure to go and check it out. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. I'll see you again next time.
Right.